Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ult In Ten, and today with me I have someone very special. He's really well known for his Katarina play, and his name is extremely hard for me to say correctly, so I'll let him do it. Why don't you introduce yourself and say hi?
Yo, what's up? This is TiensiNoAkuma here. I'm a avid Katarina player, as but Ilya's already told you guys.
Yeah, so why don't you start everything off with introducing yourself in a sense of, how long have you been playing games, what got you introduced or started with MOBAs, that kind of thing.
So I began like everyone else with well, not everyone else, but I started out with I think it was RuneScape, and then my sister and I were playing Neopets together, so I was really laid back type of gaming back then. And then what really began more competitive gaming for me would be, I think, I started playing Guns, X-Steel, and when I was playing X-Steel, which is a Korean robotic fighting game, they shut down the game which was made by NCSoft because they weren't making enough money. But before they shut that down, I actually joined a clan in X-Steel, and so once they got shut down, I just moved on to LoL, and just here I am.
All right, well, what got you kind of started with playing AP middle so often? Is it just a role you really like, enjoying, or do you, kind of enjoy other things as well?
So when I started out, I had absolutely no idea how the game works, just like everyone else. I've never played Dota before. I have absolutely no background in these type of games aside from the fact that I've played like RPG type games. So when I started out, I think the first champion I played was Amumu, and I did horribly. I remember it was not even fun for me, but it was actually quite embarrassing for me to play with my friends since I knew that I would always force them to carry me. And so I guess I started out with TF. Twisted Fate was my first champion I mastered, quote unquote. This was when TF was quite broken, when his ult would give everyone a universal slow, and on top of that, give him a really quick teleport. So I mastered him mid, and as soon as I had enough money, I bought Cat, and that it just everything just went down from there, went up from there.
I gotta ask, what's so appealing about her to you? Is it just her whole skill set?
It is mainly her skill set that appealed to me so much, is that she's so much fun to play, and that's the main reason why I keep playing her. It's just like she's never not fun to play.
Yeah, I know. Like I know her passive is extremely fun to play in team fights because it's just one after another. As long as you keep getting those kills, kind of like an APE. If you can come into a team fight and just pick off kills and keep going. And let's kind of talk about this gameplay. You're playing against a Blitzcrank, which is really unusual. Have you had any experience like kind of playing against a Blitzcrank in middle? Because I know you have to see a lot of unusual mids considering you play cat all the time.
Yeah, I do see a lot of strange mids. Recently, what happened was I played against Skara's Blitzcrank before this, and Skara was lucky enough to get a gank middle, and that really put me behind and shut me down. But I realized that while I was fighting Skara, that Blitzcrank has absolutely no range skills, and hence I can easily just keep harassing him like I am now with my Q, and he can't retaliate at all.
Okay, well, let's talk about runes and kind of masteries. What do you typically run on Katarina, or is there very specific runes you run depending on the champion?
So I used to have specific runes based on which matchup I was playing against, whether it be melee, physical damage or magical damage. But now I have a set rune book, which is specifically red, magic penetration, blue, MR, straight up MR, not MR per level, then straight up armor seals, and then movement speed quints. The movement speed quints are a must on cat since it gives you so much more mobility to catch people when they're running away from you or running away or when you're running away from people. It's just such a versatile rune that you just have to get it. It can save you and get you kills as well. So as for the blues and seals that I get, I get them specifically to help my sustainability in lane, help me survive a little bit longer in lane. Cat has a really weak early game, and because of that, you really need to back that up by giving her the ability to stay in lane longer, farm a little bit more than everyone else, and just get into the mid game faster.
Right, and well, let's talk about Katarina in kind of like a team fight situation in the sense of what kind of compositions really work well for Katarina, Squeak, and what kind of compositions really kind of don't work well as the enemy team will have. Obviously, a lot of CC will really shut you down, but is there any like champion specific you really hate seeing on their team and love seeing on your team?
Love seeing on my team. I would say I don't really have any specific champions that I would love to see on my team, but I guess the type of champions I really like playing with are those who have a lot of AoE spells, so that the focus on me goes down because everyone's busy dealing with whoever the other player. Like for example, if we have Galio on our team, that makes my ult just so much easier to go or get off. Or if we have a Mumu, then it's so much more easier as well. And on top of that, even having a Fiddlesticks ult is really helpful because everyone will be like, oh no, it's a Fiddlesticks ult, we have to kill him, but then I just hop in and ult and they can't do anything about it because they're too busy dealing with Fiddlesticks. And as for champions I don't like playing against, I would have to say Warwick, since Warwick, Soraka, basically any champions, Blitzcrank too, any champions that have instant CC for Cat. Like absolutely 0.1 second casting time and instantaneous CC. I just cannot play against them. It's really difficult to just get your ult off against them.
Right, right. That's obviously very true because that ult really does a lot of damage. And what about lane matchups? So, what are your favorite lane matchups to see with Katarina, and also your worst lane matchups to see?
So my favorite lane matchups would be like this is a perfect example right here when I can harass people and they can't harass me back. So I guess people would be like, for example, Blitzcrank, but you've never seen him, so that would not be a good example. I would say Karthus would be an excellent matchup against Cat. Aside from that, the problem with Cat early is that her early game is extremely weak compared to basically every other champion. So aside from Karthus, if you go in as Cat, you cannot out harass anyone else. Cassiopeia out damages you, Ari out damages you. Basically, every single mage can outcast, out damage Katarina early game, and so there isn't really any specific matchup aside from Karthus that I would like to play as Cat.
Right. Well, what about skill orders? Do you kind of choose what skill orders you level depending on the champion? You know, if they're easy to harass or if you have to be really careful, or is it usually just the same?
So the skill orders for Cat, my Cat, is always the same. It's should be the same for every other Katarina. I'm positive Scar does the exact same thing. I hit Q for the first level since you need that to help you harass because you can't harass. Well, not necessarily. It's you get Q first to help you last hit in addition to harass. You can't really last hit a creep with your Shumpo because you're putting yourself right next to your enemy and it makes you easy target to get killed. I get Q and then E and then Q again in order to deal more damage with Q, making it easier to harass and last hit. And then I put a point in W, which is the only point you need. And I max Q first. The reason why you should always max Q first on Cat is because it's your farming skill and your harassing skill. That's the tool you use in order to keep yourself in game, keep yourself alive, and keep yourself farmed. As for Shumpo, I max that second. There's no need to max it first because in lane you should never be using your Shumpo because you need to save it for ganks. Like if jungler comes from the side or from the top or whatever, if you do get ganked, you need to Shumpo away from that. And if your Shumpo is on CD, you're just an easy gank and you get killed, and you cannot get behind in lane as Katarina. Maxing W last. Even though W does give you good uh, survivability and a little bit of damage, it doesn't give you more damage than if you max Shumpo first or Q first. And on top of that, the all you need is 1 point in W in order to give yourself your maximum amount of damage on your Q.
All right. Well, in early game, since we are currently in at the moment, what's your kind of general goal? Is there certain items you try to build for? Do you try to go for an early kill at all? Are you just trying to farm and get some money up, or what exactly is your goal?
So at a higher level of gameplay, it's extremely difficult to pick up a kill. Everyone is extremely smart. They know exactly how much damage the enemy can deal, and it's really difficult. You'll notice that barely anyone ever gets a kill 1v1. There's always going to be a gank involved that picks up a kill. So I do not go for a kill early game because I know that it's nearly impossible, and also it's especially difficult for Cat to get an early game kill since she has absolutely no form of CC and she has no damage early game on top of that.
All right, now we're back, and we're kind of in the mid game a little bit here. 16 minutes in. Kind of, can you talk about we talk about goals early game. What's your kind of goals in mid game as Katarina?
For goals early game, your main goal is just stay in lane, try to get as much farm as you can, try to keep up with the enemy carry because you cannot fall behind. As for mid game, at this point, this is when Katarina shines. At this point, you got to pick up every single possible kill or assist that you can get to push you far enough and snowball you hard enough to be able to carry the game. Because at end game, Katarina's damage isn't great. It isn't too weak, but it isn't amazing either. It's a lot more difficult to do to carry with Cat late game. So at mid game, just gotta focus on picking up as many kills as you can.
Well, what type of items do you actually try to go for as Katarina? We see you have a Gunblade, and I believe you do build a Rabadon's later. Is that just a typical build kind of order that you go?
So on Katarina, the item that gives you the most amount of damage would be a Gunblade, and by the time you get a Gunblade, it's already mid game, and that means you have the item that gives you the most amount of damage and survivability at mid game, and you just want to get as much damage as you can with Cat. And getting Gunblade first gives you more damage than a Rabadon, gives you more survivability than a Rylai's, and just it's and also more utility than a Rylai's on top of that. So it's just an excellent item to get on Cat for the first item.
All right. Well, I know we were talking about in this little break some things that really counter Katarina. Do you want to go ahead and touch on that what we were talking about earlier?
Alright, so the thing about Cat is a lot of people always say, "Oh, Katarina's weakness CC. Oh crap, they have five players with really hard CC." And I'm not worried about that at all. I always first pick Cat. I don't really care about CC that much. I don't really care too much about counter pick. I complain, but I really don't care. But Katarina's weakness isn't CC. It's tanky DPS. If Katarina cannot pick up that kill, then she can't use her passive, and then she can't chain off kills and kill every single person on a team. As you can see here, we couldn't kill Doomtroll because she had too much HP. So it's her ult isn't her main skill either. Oh, a lot of people are always like, "Oh, your ult, your ult, your ult." No, her most powerful skill is her passive, and that's the only reason why Katarina is so powerful. That's the only reason why she's so fun for me. It's because of her passive. Her ult is just merely a tool to get your passive off. So that's why I don't really care too much about CC, in the sense that I have a Gunblade, I have an Ignite, I have a Shunpo, I have a Bouncing Blades that I can use to pick up that kill and get my passive off. So her weakness is mainly tanky DPS. If she can't kill someone, then she can't use her passive.
Well, I gotta ask then, what stopped you from playing APE? Because he kind of has that same mechanic with his Highlander. If he can Alpha Strike kill someone, then he can, Highlander again and Alpha Strike as well again. Have you tried APE at all? Is that something you maybe have looked into?
So I actually have not tried APE. The main thing is that I don't really like his skill set compared to what Cat has. She has an instantaneous jump that she can also use to jump on wards and get away. Like, as for Master, he doesn't really have any form of escape. If he gets ganked, then he has to use his ult in order to get away, and I prefer being able to jump over walls and hopping onto wards, and it's just, Katarina is just so much more fun to play than APE would be, just specifically to me.
Very true. And I have to ask this because you mentioned earlier you always first pick Cat. Is what happens when Katarina gets banned or someone on your team like takes your spot? Do you dodge or do you actually try to play someone else? Because I know you do play other AP carries as
So
well.
I always I never dodge, I never leave. Actually, I have left once, but that's only because the game glitched and I had to leave. I didn't want to force my team to lose. But when Cat does get banned, this has been happening recently a lot. Whenever I play a game and then someone knows I'm on, they're ghosting me. They always ban Cat. The thing is, I have been trying to learn new champs. I've been playing Fizz now. Actually, I've gotten him to a pretty good level at the moment. I can play him at the current elo I'm at. But just I'm pretty versatile with champions. It's just I prefer playing Cat simply because she's so much fun to play. So I don't really mind if she gets banned or my spot gets taken. I usually go top if that does happen.
What about competitive play? Are you any interested in actually kind of trying to join a team and playing as our AP carry at all?
So I'm currently in college, and so my main priority is to just get all my studies done. And LoL is more of a thing that I do for fun at the moment, and also like since other people enjoy watching me play, I play for them at the moment as well. I'm not really looking to go into competitive play since I'm just too busy with everything that I'm doing.
Okay, and as you see right there, you kind of just got that triple kill because of that passive and how strong it is.
Yeah, and as if you looked at the beginning, you noticed that Blitzcrank ulted my passive, stopped my passive for like almost immediately within like 0.5 seconds. And as you can see, it wasn't the ult that got me all those kills. It was my Gunblade and the other skills that I had and the backup I had with from Dyrus.
Right, and okay, so we talked about items a little bit. I kind of want to talk just a little bit more about it, just to help, solidify something for the viewers. Because most people you can build in different orders depending on what's happening in the game. If you're top lane and you're against like an AP or an AP like Kennen or something, you can go like Hex Drinker. Or you can go, if you're, Warwick against an AP carry, you can go that Chalice. What kind of diversifies or really controls what you go? Because you picked up a Rabadon's, and I believe you do go for Zhonya's. Depending on the other team, what they're, how fed they are, who is actually fed on the team, how does that affect where you go?
So just like every other champion, I have specific builds based on what's going on, like who's fed on the team, what's going on in the game. So as you can see here, this game I'm actually quite fed. I'm already 9-3. So knowing that I'm fed and knowing that I'm the one who's carrying the game, I pick up a hat just get even more damage. But In most situations, when I'm not the one dealing all of the damage, or if my teammates can deal damage, and on top of that, if the enemy is also fed, depending on who's fed, I'll pick up an item. Like, for example, in this situation, I noticed that Mandatory Cloud Koguma is also doing very well right now. He's 8 and 2, and so I know he's the one dealing most of the damage during team fights. So I pick up a chain vest so I can get into an hourglass and hopefully survive longer and pick up more kills from that. So my builds are specifically based on who's being fed in the entire game.
Okay, and I kind of want to touch on this, and it's completely just like a personal question, but or for me is, have you ever experimented with like support Katarina or maybe going like a heavy AD build, with like Bloodthirsters on her? I mean, it might not be viable, but I'm just curious.
I have done everything. I guess I used to play. I used to go Rise on Cat. Contrary to popular belief that I hate Rylai's, I used to go Rylai's. It was a really good item back then, but I realized that the damage output was just the damage loss that you get from buying a Rylai's isn't worth it. But as for building Katarina, I used to go AD when Katarina's AD was actually a lot more powerful than AP, and I really enjoyed the fact that you could heal up so easily after shooping and just right-clicking someone. You just heal up so much. It's a really good build going AD, but at the moment, Katarina's AP build is just so much better than AD. If you go AD and you get Bloodthirsters, if you die, you lose stacks, and if you play AP Cat and you die, you don't lose any power at all, and that's just not worth it if you die and you lose power. As for other builds, I have played Tank Cat. I would go Rylai's and I get a Sunfire. I just go really tanky Cat. I see like some people have done it. Some people ask me to try it out. I have tried it out, and the thing is, you lose a lot of damage. You're not the one carrying the game, and when I'm playing Cat, I'm expecting that I'm the one who's gonna have to carry my team, and I'm already used to doing that all the time. So I just prefer to stick to a glass cannon type of build.
Okay. Well, what kind of advice can you give people that are trying to learn how to improve their gameplay, especially as an AP middle? Like, what kind of things should they look out for, or at least practice on?
So when you're going AP middle as Katarina, you can't be aggressive at all. If you are aggressive, then you're just making yourself an easy kill for other cheap players because Katarina doesn't have any sustainability in lane. And on top of that, when playing Cat, the most important thing in lane would be outsmarting your enemy. If you can trick them into doing something that they don't want to do and use that to your advantage, then you can pick up kills mid and you can also get farmed and do other stuff.
Actually, sorry, let me cut you off there.
While
I
you're not
actually meant like other AP carriers, like not just Katarina, but as in general, like an AP role. Like advice you can give for
oh
other roles or for other champions as well. Just like a general kind of thing you can help
okay,
people or teach people.
okay, do I say that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when you're playing AP mid, you're middle, and that gives you the most amount of mobility, both going top and bot. So if you see something going on top and bot, and you know that you can go in to help, then go and help them out. You can pick up some kills, you can help out your teammates, and just you're as powerful as your jungler. You can gank other lanes because you're in such a great spot to gank. Unfortunately, on top of that, sometimes you're not going to be able to gank as well since you might not be playing such a great AP champ. But in those situations, it's a great time to farm if you're going mid and you're playing an AP carry. And lastly, if you are going mid, the greatest thing about mid, the reason why a lot of people like going mid is because when you're mid, it's a lot harder to get ganked because you're a lot closer to your turret than every other lane is. So when you're playing mid, just try to be a little bit more aggressive, depending on which champion you're playing. So if you can be aggressive, since you won't. It's really hard to get ganked. So.
All right, so now we're pretty much in the end of the game here, and unfortunately, this replay did have a bug, so we did miss out on the last about 3-4 minutes, so we kind of had to start from here. But can you kind of talk? Actually, to continue what we were talking about earlier about AP middle, I kind of want to talk about mobility because I did an episode with Skara, which I think believe was episode 4, and he was talking about how mobility really isn't that big of a deal. Like it's not necessary to gank top and bottom as a middle. But of course, this was around when AP slime was really popular, casting was really popular. What's your thoughts on mobility as an AP carry? Is it extremely important to be able to gank lanes, or is it just something that is nice to have?
So I completely agree with Scar. Mobility isn't that as necessary for mid when you're playing an AP carry. I think the reason why is because when you're mid, your job is to farm and get as farmed as you can to help out the team. And also on top of that, at higher levels of play, it's a lot harder to gank bot and top because everyone's always calling MIAs and always knows where to be careful. But as for mobility, I think I don't.
Actually, can you
I
stop
agree
there?
that
I'm
it's not as
sorry, and
important.
talk about this team fight real quick. Actually, this is really important. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So right now, as you can see here, we're going after Maokai right now. I'm not going after Maokai. I know he's the one who's too tanky. My job is to kill Kog'Maw. And as you can see here, Darius and I go after Kog'Maw. He's the most squish chase champion. That makes it easy for me to go off and get my passive off. As you can see here, we pick up all these kills. Specifically because we took out Kog'Maw and we were able to chain off my passive because of that. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. It's just it was really important because you're talking about this entire game of how tanky DPS is really or tanky bruisers is really the counter to you, and this is how you deal with it is going for like the AD carry and doing what an assassin does. But sorry, continue about the mobility thing.
So yeah, mobility is important in the sense that when you're playing cat and you're in a team fight, when you're playing cat, everything's about positioning. You got to be out of sight, out of vision, so no one knows where you are, no one knows where to CC you. Then then you have mobility and you can come in and join the fight and maybe pick up some kills. But obviously in lane, movement isn't as important. The most important thing is CSing, getting as many creep kills as you can. And like I agree with Scar, mobility is an important lane, but I have to disagree that it gets a lot more important in middle to late game when you're escaping or trying to catch someone.
Okay, and I know you do have a YouTube channel as well as you do stream. Do you want to talk about that real quick and just talk about what you do on your stream and also talk about what you put up on your YouTube channel. Easy for me to say.
Okay, so I stream now. I stream Thursdays to Sundays for this current amount of time. I do stream at those times about 7 p.m. Eastern to about 11. At that time, I usually quit or I play a quick normal game with some viewers. As for my YouTube channel, I make tips and tricks videos. I just uploaded one right now to just help the general LoL community with just basic tips. Those tips are actually a little bit more higher level tips. But aside from that, it's great for everyone. It's really good information. Everyone enjoys watching it, and so yeah, just go check it out if you want.
Yeah, the links will be in the comment. Links for both of those, and as well as his Facebook page, so you'll know when he's streaming, will be in the comments. And definitely make sure to check that out. Is there anything else you want to say before we end the episode?
I'd like to give out a shout out to my good friends Banana and Lesbian, who have always been supporting me this entire time with everything that I do. So yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, well, that is it for another episode of Ult In Ten. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.